We don't talk enough about how dangerous words can be. One sentence, one comment is enough to shake someone's belief in themselves for years. Now, you might not remember what you said, but they do. So today's episode is simple. If you can't help them with your words, don't hurt them. If you don't understand their dream, their vision, don't destroy it. Because sometimes the loudest opposition comes from the people, unfortunately, closest to us. Let's get into the episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Men Roads podcast. It's your boy Oba Okusanya here. Let's get into it today. I want to talk about discouragement, and I want to talk about discouragement not from the standpoint of overcoming discouragement or, fighting and, getting out of discouragement. I don't want to talk about it from that standpoint. Rather, I'm going to start with this. I recently was reading a book by Kenneth Hagin, who is like sort of a general, somebody significant, very significant in the walk of faith as Christians, right? And he was talking about how a lady had approached him and said, "Sir, I have this idea. I want to do this for my family." And he was like, honest to God, when she said the idea and she kind of explained what she wanted to do, in his head, he was like, this might not work. But also at the same time, he was like, this could work. And she was there asking for, his sort of opinion on like, hey, what do you think about this? And he said in that moment, he could have chosen to act like an authority and say, oh yeah, it's not going to work. You shouldn't do this. But he said the fact that there's also some doubt in his mind as to whether it can work was enough for him to just let her know, hey, I believe in you. You go try it and let's see how it goes. Instead of discouraging her, he just said, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. It might work. So why don't you just go for it? And instead of discouraging her from doing whatever it is that she wanted to do, he just essentially told her, I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but I think you should go for it. And it got me thinking about how a lot of times, we as a society are focused on overcoming discouragement and, getting through a season of discouragement and getting on the other side of all of that. But I was thinking about how if we can fix what I want to talk about today, we don't even have to get to the part of overcoming discouragement, or we don't have to focus so much on that, because what I essentially want to talk to you about today is how to avoid being the person that discourages other people, how to avoid being the source of discouragement, how to avoid being, the person that uses their words to sow cords of discouragement into other people. Because whether or not you like it, we've all done this knowingly or unknowingly. Sometimes we're careless with our words and we say the wrong thing. And even though to you it was just a comment, it can dig deep into the souls of the people that you were talking to, and it can remain there for years. Right? So let's get into it. Let's get into all of it. So first thing first, right? Like, let's even just talk about discouragement as a topic. Discouragement is so impactful because it sticks harder and longer than any like positive affirmations or like encouragement you can ever receive. Yes, we know by now the human mind tends to focus on the negative emotions, tends to focus on the negative memories. It tends to sort of open up those memories more and sort of, dwell on those memories more. This is one of the reasons why you should avoid being the source of discouragement to people, because they remember. I heard someone say this: encouragement feels good for a moment, but discouragement feels bad for a lifetime. Meaning that in as much as you try to sow seeds of encouragement, those are only momentary. But the ones of discouragement, the seeds of discouragement, those can last a lifetime if care is not taken. This is one of the reasons why any opportunity that you get to, I would say sow discouragement, you shouldn't take it, because it'll stick with that person for a lifetime. I'm sure you've heard stuff in the past where a student, for instance, says, oh, my math teacher told me I'd never be great in math. And ever since then, they struggled with math. It's not like they don't have the capacity to be good at math. It's the fact that those words were sown into their lives. And all of a sudden, it feels like that's the only reality that they have. And that's the only potential that they could achieve. Right. So words are seeds. And whether or not you like it, those seeds are being sown into our lives every day. And if negative seeds are being sown, guess what? It'll only lead to negative fruit. Long and short of all of that is this: discouragement lasts a lifetime. The words and seeds of discouragement, if care is not taken, can last a lifetime. So let's be careful about not sowing those kind of seeds. The second thing I wanted to point out is this: it takes a whole lot of effort to build someone up, but it takes so little effort to discourage somebody. There's like the analogy of like, if you wanted to, for instance, an engine, like a car engine, if you wanted to ruin a car engine, for instance, you could just put the wrong gas in it. You could just, if it takes gasoline, you could put diesel in it and the engine's ruined. Or you could just drain all the oil from it and let the engine run and the engine is ruined. But do you know how much work it takes to put an engine together, bolt by bolt, nut after nut, braces, different parts, pistons, and bro, there's so many moving parts. There's so many parts that it takes to put together for an engine to work, to get to a place where it moves the car. But the effort it takes to ruin it is so little. And that's the way it is with words as well. The effort it takes to discourage somebody is so little compared to the effort it takes to encourage them. This is another reason why it's very easy to sow seeds of discouragement, because you're not even paying attention and you're not even, you don't even think it's a big deal. But to somebody else, it's impacting their very vision and their very dreams. And the last thing I wanted to point out here before we go into sort of how to avoid being a source of discouragement is this: if you can't help somebody with your words, don't hurt them with them. Like, don't hurt with them. If you can't help somebody with the words that you're going to speak, don't hurt with them. And we're going to go further into this in a couple of minutes in terms of how to practically go about this. Because I think sometimes as human beings, we struggle with silence. We struggle with our answer being silence because we think that everyone expects us to say something. And instead of focusing on the fact that we might say something wrong, would rather say something wrong than be silent. And sometimes the answer is silence. So you have a business idea you're excited about. But hold on, here's the truth. About 90% of startups fail because they build something nobody wants. What if you could test your idea before you build it? What if you could test your idea before you waste months or thousands of dollars building it? I've put together a free guide called the Reality Check Guide that essentially has 10 validation methods you can use to test any business idea today. In it, you'll find validation methods used by Tesla, Dropbox, Airbnb, and other notable names around the world before they became household names. I've also included AI prompts that you can use to validate or test your ideas using ChatGPT or any other AI platforms. So get access to the free guide. The link is in the description. Download the guide and use it to test your ideas before you go waste money and time. All right, let's get back to the pod. So let's get into how to practically now walk through these 5 things that I have for you that I believe if you consider and if you I guess apply into your day-to-day can actually help you avoid being the person who's sowing seeds of discouragement into other people's lives. So how to avoid being the discourager? Number 1, I want you to think through your response. So someone comes to meet you, they ask you, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting this business." Or I'm thinking about launching this venture. I'm thinking about going into this. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. Whatever it is they're thinking about, I want you to think through your response. You have a response in mind as soon as they start talking, and that's okay. But I want you to think through that response. Is that response based on your previous experiences? Is it based on your biases? Is it based on your emotions? Is like envy in play? Is jealousy in play? Or are you just not even knowledgeable about what they're talking about? Think through your responses, because whether or not you like it, when people come to meet us for, for some sort of for essentially validation is what I would call it of their ideas, it means that they really value your opinion, and right there and then you have an opportunity to either discourage them or to encourage them, but it has to be based on valid There has to be valid reasons behind your response. And sometimes, if that reason is this might not work because of this, give that reason, but know that let it be that that reason is coming from a logical point of view, not from an emotional point of view, or not fueled by your past traumas and your previous experiences and the way things have gone for you. And you think that because it went for you a certain way, it has to now go for every other person that certain way. Don't pass on your lived experiences and lived traumas onto people and discourage them from things that could very much help them because it didn't work out for you. So I want you to first of all think through your response. Am I giving the right response? Am I being emotional? Am I being petty? Like, think through it. Don't just answer. Actually take the time and think through that response. And further into thinking through your response is to help you also clarify your response. Ask questions. So, they say, oh yeah, I'm thinking of our company's thinking of moving into this new field. Ask questions. Why are you thinking of moving? What changed? What happened to the previous products you guys had? The previous services you offered? Why the change? Why now? Why do you want to do it now? Can it be later? Like, ask questions. As you ask those questions, it further helps you to clarify and to move past the layers of, you know, uh, the emotional layers or the layers of past experiences that might be sort of affecting the response that you're going to give. It helps you to move yourself out of the way essentially and logically approach the question that they've asked you. Right. So think through your responses and ask questions as much as you can. The second thing I want to the second thing I want to point out here is in terms of how to avoid being a discourager is this: offer honest feedback. I know it's easier said than done. A lot of us sometimes worry, myself included. I sometimes worry that if I give people the feedback if I give people the honest feedback, I sometimes worry they might not take it the right way. But I also start to look at life from a perspective of if I was on the other end and if somebody was asking if I was asking somebody for feedback on something that could very much save me time, money, resources, yes, the honest feedback might hurt, but in the long run, it saves me. So when I say we avoid being a source of discouragement, it doesn't mean we should lie. No, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying offer honest feedback. If you know that this thing this person is walking into is not good for them, you tell them. If you know logically and based on insight and based on experience and based on but not just emotional experience, based on life experience. If you know and you have seen in the past that this doesn't work, it's better to help the person err on the side of caution than to just blindly tell them go for it. Because guess what? Some other day you'll be on the receiving end of that, and you wouldn't want somebody to do that to you. And sometimes that honest feedback as well is just saying, honestly, I don't know. Sometimes that honest feedback is just saying, you know what? I actually have no idea. Yeah. This is new to me. This is a new field to me. This is a new business idea to me. This is a new area to me. I actually don't know. Um, and at that point, that's also okay. We don't always have to have the answers. You don't need to have all the answers. Nobody expects you to have all the answers. I used to think that I was expected to have all the answers, but the further I go in life, the more I realize I'm not supposed to have all the answers. Why else do you need other people around you if you have all the answers? No. Your life is designed in such a way where you don't have all the answers. And it's designed that way such that we rely on other people, right? So going back to what I'm saying, offer honest advice. And sometimes that also means saying, I don't know. The third practical step I want you to apply when it comes to giving people advice and avoiding being the source of discouragement is to always leave room for error. Whoa, whoa, what is that, Oba? What does leave room for error mean? What I'm saying is this. As human beings, a lot of times when we talk, we like to talk like we are the final authority on something. Like we are the final authority on the subject matter. We're the final authority on the opinion we just gave. We're the final authority. I mean, people, I'm doing a podcast now, but I'm very careful to help you understand that I am not the final authority on the things that I speak about. I am also walking through life. And there is a very high chance that As I walk through life, some of my opinions will change and some of my perspectives will change. And it's my responsibility as the person who's conveying the information to you to also let you know that I am saying what I'm saying now based off of what I know and who I am. And sometimes that's subject to change as life goes on. So always leave room for error. If someone approaches you and they have an idea, they have something they're working on, they need your input, they need your feedback, let them know, hey, I am not the final authority on this. However, based off of what I know, based off of what I've seen, this is my advice. This is my feedback. This is my opinion. You don't have to say, I if you do this, I'm sure this is going to happen. Because guess what? Sometimes life can go the other way and it doesn't happen. So now you're on the hook. And that leads to resentment, right? So it goes back to that whole thing of you're not like we don't have all the answers. I'm going back to that again. Like nobody is the final authority on life. Guess what? There was people who thought they had figured out business in the 1900s, in the 1800s. If they were alive today and saw what business is like today, they would tell you this is made up. This is not true. If you told someone who was born in the 1800s that today now we've not just gotten past personal computers, we've gotten into mobile phones, and now we're past mobile phones, and now we've got into the era of social media, and now we're in the era of virtual media, and now we're in the era of like artificial intelligence. Like there's been so much change that nobody could have foreseen, that they would tell you, no, as the final authority, we are going to keep driving horses, and we are going to keep driving horses and carts. And it's just the way life is. Nobody has the final authority on whatever it is in life. So always leave room for error. The world is changing so fast that sometimes the advice you give maybe 2 weeks ago, this week is now invalid. It is just what it is. So leave room for error. Let them know that, hey, what I'm saying is based off of what I know now. And if there's a chance it might change, also communicate that. Number 4 is one of my absolute favorite things to do. If I don't know what you're talking about and I don't have advice to give and I don't have input to give, rather than discourage you because of my lack of knowledge, I would just connect you with somebody who knows. And I think everyone should do this. If you're not sure of what the person is talking about, you don't have any input to give them. You don't know what it is, and you don't have any feedback, any opinion to offer them. Connect them with somebody who knows. If you do have such connections, it's better that you do that and that they get the actual honest feedback that they need than you lying through your teeth to cover up the fact that you don't know, or to cover up the fact that you're inadequate in this aspect. If you really care and love this person that is asking you for your feedback and respect them as well, you don't want to lie to them. No, rather connect them with somebody who knows about something, about the thing that they want to do. Connect them with somebody who understands what it is they're trying to do, and leave it there. And that's totally okay. You know what I mean? That's totally okay. Once again, we don't have to have all the answers. I keep going back to it, but it's the fact. We don't have to have all the answers. Last thing here, the last idea that I want to leave you here with is this. In order to avoid being a discourager, in order to avoid being the person that's sowing seeds of discouragement into people, support the person before the idea. So let's take a step back. If someone comes to meet you, oftentimes when people come to meet us asking for sort of validation or feedback on ideas that they have, it's because yes, they respect your idea, they value your opinion, but it's also because in some way, shape, or form, they're looking for validation from you. And that validation is not necessarily always a validation of their idea. It's often a validation of their person. Essentially it's disguised in, hey, what do you think about this idea? But really what it is, hey, what do you think about me? And right there and then you have an opportunity to support the person, to let the person know that you believe in them. Rather than, hey, this idea is terrible, blah, 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 blah. Even if you know the idea is terrible, still let the person know, hey, I don't think this idea is going to work, but I believe in you to figure it out. Hey, I'm not sure this is a good idea, but I believe in you to find something better. I believe in you too. You know what I mean? Like, take the opportunity to build the person up. It's better to say, you know what, I don't think this idea is a great one, but at the same time, if anyone's going to find a great idea, I think it's you. Take that opportunity to build the person up. Because if you instead just trash the idea, and in some cases it's valid because some ideas are not the best, right? Ideas are 1,000, like there's so many ideas out there, and not every idea is really valuable like that, right? So in some cases, yes, you do have to deliver some honest feedback and say, hey, this idea sucks, it's terrible. But can you also in that moment support the person and build the person up by offering good words and kind words, just to let the person know, hey, um yeah, the idea sucked, but you know what, like, I'm so gassed from the way they pumped me up that I know I can figure something out. I can do something better. I can try something else. Or I can tweak this here and there. I can make changes and it could be better. And it's also kind of going back to the idea, to the belief that, if you don't understand it, it doesn't mean you bash them. It's the idea that's wrong. It's the idea that's bad. They are not bad people. So even if you don't understand it, cheer them on. I have a group of friends. I have a group of friends. They're our couple friends, like they're a couple, and I sincerely appreciate them because every time we talk to them and we're like, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing this," they're like, "Bro, go for it, man! This is crazy. Do it." Or he'll be like, "I don't know if it's gonna work, but bro, if anyone can figure it out, you can figure it out, bro." That's all you need in life. That's all you need in life. People who support you, people who build you up, people who are honest enough to tell you, I don't think that might be a good idea. But I still believe in you to figure something else out. I still believe in you, and I still trust in the fact that you're of doing something great. And it might not be this thing because this idea sucks right now, but I know you'll find something else. Everyone needs that sort of backing, that sort of encouragement behind them. Because when the going gets tough, when you're faced with battles in life, and you don't need people who are gonna talk down on you. You don't need people who are going to just add to the burden that you're currently going through and the burden that is currently on you. No, no, no. You need people who are going to lighten that burden by giving you words of encouragement. And, motivation on the internet nowadays gets a lot of bad rap because people are like, oh, this is just that woo woo motivation stuff. You say that until you get into a place where you actually need to be motivated. And in those days and in those times is when words mean the most to you. You know what I mean? So support the person. Even if the idea is trash, even if the idea is terrible, take it as an opportunity to sow good words, to sow kind words into the person's life. They will forever be grateful. They actually will forever be grateful. And even if they don't say it, you will know that you played a little part in their story. And that's what all of this is about, anyways. So, last thing I want to leave you with regards to supporting the idea and supporting the person and not always the idea, is the fact that you don't need to get it to get behind them. You don't need to get the idea. You don't need to get the technology. You don't need to get. You know what I heard? I heard someone who's an investor. I think he's an angel investor actually. Say that one of the things that he does is that he finds ideas, and yes, he looks at the ideas and he judges how profitable the ideas might be. But much more, he's interested in the founders. He's interested in the entrepreneurs because he's like, if there are people that have so much tenacity, if there are people that have so much grit, I know they can figure anything out. And he's like, I invest in the people rather than investing in the idea. He's like, the people come first before the idea. And he's like, sometimes even the idea, I don't get it in the sense that I might not know technically how it works. I might just have a high level understanding of it. But as long as I understand the people and I believe in the people, I can invest in the people because even if that idea doesn't work, something else they do will work. And that's how we also have to look at it. If people who are investing money, which of course is even a much more shrewd kind of investment and very, very, they're essentially ruthless with the way they have to go about their evaluations. If they're saying we invest in the founders and the idea, we invest in the people and the idea, in our personal lives, we should do the same as well. So the idea might not always be good. You might not always get it, but it's better to support the person, because that's all that actually really counts. We're only here on this earth for a short time. Supporting the people that are around us is what really matters. So here's the thing. Here's the takeaway. Every dreamer, doer, visionary is one comment away from doubt or belief. And you don't even have to understand their dream. You don't have to get it. But you can choose not to be the reason they stop. You can choose not to be the source of discouragement. So speak life. Give honest advice. Because in a world that's full of discouragement, your silence or your support can be the thing that saves someone's dream. I want you to do something. I want you to tag someone in the comments of this video, of this podcast, who has believed in you in something that you've done in the past or something that you're currently doing. I want you to tag them in the comments and say thank you. And just say thank you for believing in me. It's a good opportunity to also appreciate people who believe in us and who encourage us as we go through life. That being said, that's all I have for you today. If you already haven't, I would love if you could like this video. If you comment as well, that person that you believe has helped you significantly, and just appreciate them in the comments. And also, if you are not subscribed, I'd love for you to subscribe. Get on the journey with us as we build the Many Roads podcast. It's been great hanging with you all. Till next time, God bless.